Hello everyone, welcome along. It's a new week here on Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, number one tennis betting podcast brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I am Nigel Seeley, your host, and delighted to say joining me to look ahead to this week's grass tennis court action on the men's tour is our senior ATP Tour handicapper, it's Sean Calvert. Good afternoon to you, Sean.
Good afternoon. You all right?
Very well. Euro 2024 has been a very, very, very expensive first opening 4 matches for me. Haven't cashed one ticket, lost on everything. And I've got England to build up tonight, so I'm getting excited for England and looking forward to tonight's match. Happy Father's Day to you, Sean.
And to you, thank you, yes. Lagan's not here, as you can imagine. He gave me some random stuff, like little presents that he's arbitrarily got me this morning at about 9:30 once he'd finished playing 3 hours on Fortnite. Now he's gone off to his mate's house. So,
right.
Yeah, that's about all you're going to get, to be honest. He got me like a little, it was quite a weird gift. It's like a little pot plant. Like a tiny...
What, is it like Funny Fags pot plant? Or like...
I don't think it is. It's not
They're
big
called
enough
marijuana plants.
No, it's not that. It's like he got it from the school, so I'll be a bit worried if he brought that back from the school. It's a primary school. It's like they do this thing called, I don't know what it's called, like Marvelous Fathers or something like that, and they get to choose, like make a little gift or get one from the PTA or something, and then I don't know. It ends up in my office here anyway. So
that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
you
what
can
I
throw that
at
the telly. You can throw that at the telly when the tennis doesn't go your way next week.
I throw enough things at the telly. I don't think I need any more.
Been a bit of a difficult week last week on the tennis again on the grass court. You know, changing service always quite difficult. Nothing really went our way.
I tell you what, nothing went anybody's way. There was, other than Draper today, who I managed to have again. No one will believe me, but anyway, there was only 3 underdog winners in the whole of Stuttgart. 3.
Wow.
4, including Draper today, as a slight underdog. So, bearing in mind we had to focus on Stuttgart because we couldn't do Rosmalen because it was raining. Yes, not much of a surprise. And one of the underdogs that we had 2 match points and failed to cash. So, yeah, sometimes, just things just don't go your way like that. It is what it is.
Yeah, not too worried, not too concerned. Things will turn as they always do on this show. We've got 2 tournaments this week, 2 decent tournaments actually. The grass court build-up for Wimbledon, which is only 2 weeks away now. And the build-up continues with, obviously, these 2 massive tournaments that we have in the build-up. And the Queen's Club at Stella, they used to be called the old Stella Artois Championship. One of our favourites. Yeah. But it's now called the Cinch Championship at Queen's Club in London. This has sort of become quite a big tournament. It never used to be as big as this. It's attracting some big names this week across to London. We have also got another tournament in Halle in Germany. And there's also some big names there. So it's good. These are a couple of good ATP Tour 500 events this week. The only slight concern, talking about favourite bettors and stuff like that, you're going to come on and give me some trends here. But 2 weeks before Wimbledon, I remember John McEnroe very famously said once that players coming in here don't really necessarily want to win it. I know Alcaraz did win it last year. But
you almost lost in the first round, though. Yeah,
they want to have a little bit of a build-up, get some matches under their belt, and then
that's true.
Not peak too early for Wimbledon. Is that something we do? So with that in mind, is it something that favourite bettors have done well here? What are the trends?
I'll do the trends. You've thrown me. I was going to do the conditions, but I'll do the trends.
You can go on give the conditions. Well, I think I'm going Thursday. I think I have to take my umbrella.
Well, I'm going Monday and Wednesday, and now the forecast is it's okay. It said it was dreadful about a week ago. It's changed about 6 times. Now it says it's quite nice. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday looks all right on my forecast, to be honest.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
But it has changed so many. Pretty much every time I look at it, it changes. So for me, Queens has been getting slower in recent years. It used to be pretty quick. It used to be kind of up there with sort of Stuttgart as one of the quickest of the year, but it's getting slower in recent years for me. Holds a serve down from around 85% to around 81, 82%, and first serve points won is also down. Tie-break matches is down from almost 50% in previous years to only 36% in the last 3 years. And unders has actually cashed. Under 22.5 games has actually cashed more often than over 22.5 games in the last 5 editions, 53%. So we talked last week about Stuttgart, didn't we, saying how many matches went over 10.5 in set 1. I think I said it was 44% in Stuttgart. That's risen this year. It's probably around about 50% in Stuttgart. In Queen's Club now, it's only 30% in the last 5 editions. So technically, if you're, all things being equal, if you're backing over 10.5 in set 1 here, you need a price of about 3.33 plus 233, don't you, I think, to make it work in terms of the last 5 editions. And under 10.5 should be as short as minus 233, 1.43 if we're being technical on the maths. I know it never works out like that because of the margins and stuff, but it gives you a good idea of, for me, this has gotten a lot slower in recent times. Underdog winners, kind of about average, 31%. We touched on the weather. The trends, the number 1 seed has won here in 6 of the last 10 editions. So it's been a decent tournament for number 1 seeds. And only 2 outright winners have been bigger than plus 450, 9-2, in the last 8 editions. But all of the last 4 runners-up have been priced between 14-1 and 90-1. So there you go. Quite a few conflicting trends there, but that's where we're at.
So the strategies, go one of the fancy contenders or go with someone at a big price each way to try to get to the final. If we look through the previous winners here, Carlos Alcaraz won it in 2023, went on to win Wimbledon. Berrettini has won it for 2 years and the back just got to the final, just got beaten by Jack Draper in Stuttgart. And then we have Lopez won it in 2019 and 2017. Marian Cilic won it in 2018. Andy Murray has won it 5 times. Nadal has won it. So it's a tournament that's been won by someone at the top end of the market. Or you could get it a finalist. The draw is out, and the seedings are as follows. There's 8 seedings, and the first bracket, Alcaraz, is against Tommy Paul, if it goes to the seedings. Not really many people in the way of in that section, apart from obviously Jack Draper, who's now up to a career high 32 in the world. He looks like he's going to be seeded for Wimbledon, Jack Draper, if he can continue that form. In the second quarter, we have Grigor Dimitrov and Ugo Humbert. Sebastian Korda, last year's beaten semi-finalist, is in that quarter as well. Beaten finalist in that quarter as well. He starts off against Karin Khachanov in one of the best matches of the day. Francis Tiafoe is in there as well, not having the best of years, but still capable of doing something on grass. And in the bottom half of the draw, we have Holger Rune. He's in the section with Murray, Cam Norrie, who's dreadful, Raonic, Taylor Fritz. And then another American we have is Ben Shelton, who's in the bottom section with Alex de Minaur. Alex de Minaur has just won the tournament over in Stuttgart as well, just beaten Korda. Not Stuttgart, that was in Hertogenbosch.
Rosmond, yep.
Yeah, he's just beaten Korda in the final, and he played exceptionally well. And he's one player that I've got on my radar for Wimbledon, but I think if you're going to move now, you're going to move quickly because I think his line's going to move very, very, very quickly on the price. Let's have a look at the odds to win this match, to win this tournament. Bookies aren't taking any chance on Carlos Alcaraz, defending champion. He's plus 110 with Bet Rivers. Alex de Minaur is the second favourite, 7-1. Taylor Fritz is 10. Grigor Dimitrov is 12. Holger Rune is 12. Jack Draper, obviously a big win for him, 14-1 just now. Sebastian Korda, 16-1. Ben Shelton, 22. That looks, this is a player that promises a lot, but it's really under-delivered this year. Same price as the veteran Milos Raonic, Tommy Paul 22, Andy Murray 33, Cam Norrie 33, Francis Tiafoe 33, and then 40-1 for Davidovich, Fokina, Nakashima, and Thompson. You said market, we're looking towards the head of the market. Alcaraz has done that. It's very rare that people win the French Open, then come here and win this tournament. I don't think it's many. I think Nadal might be the only person who's ever done that. So there's quite a tall order for him to have a little rest and have a rest for a couple of weeks after winning in Paris and then coming to win this tournament, isn't it? So what are your thoughts on Alcaraz before we come on to your thoughts on everybody else? Because he's going to be the one that everyone's going to be trying to bet. I can imagine him being a bad result for Bet Rivers.
It's a very short price, isn't it, on a guy who's not only just won the French Open, but you've got to think that was his career goal, really, to win the French Open. I know he's won Wimbledon in the US, but I feel like him winning the French was something even more special than that. And what's he been doing since then, this young lad? I'd suggest he's probably been enjoying it in whatever way he sees fit. I don't know. I don't follow the social media of these guys. Maybe I should. I don't know. But I can't imagine he's been gone straight from the winners' dinner at Roland Garros straight over to Queen's Club to start practicing on the grass. That doesn't seem likely to me. I suspect, if you remember back last year, he didn't win the French Open, and he still almost lost in the first round to Rinderknecht. I think he was match point down, wasn't he, at one stage in that match against Rinderknecht. Managed to get through that. It feels, again, like if he's vulnerable early. And this draw, this does not look an easy draw for someone who's plus 110, switching surfaces against a lot of guys who've had a week on grass already. First match against Cerundolo won't be easy. He's won title on grass. Then Jack Draper, who's just won impressively in Stuttgart from a set down against Berrettini. He played really well all week, Draper. If he wins that, he'll probably have Tommy Paul. If he wins that, he'll probably have either Dimitrov, Korda, or Humbert. And that's just to get to the final. And you want me to back him at plus 110. No, not for me. Not at all. He might do it, but that seems extremely skinny. If he's vulnerable, I wouldn't be surprised if Cerundolo did something. Failing that, Draper, I think, would have a decent chance as well. Those are my thoughts on Alcaraz.
Yeah, plus 110 does seem exceptionally short, and the odds are available on the match betting market. We'll come on to them in a little bit. But the tournament starts at 4 a.m., around about 4 a.m. Eastern time, so it's a very, very early start. So
and I'll be there.
Pardon?
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, over in the States, like 4 a.m. So you want to make sure you get on these prices pretty early before the prices move. If you've got to bet on the outright or you've got to bet on the match. And remember, if you do have a bet on the match, you can watch it and bet live and watch live with Bet Rivers. Let's have a look at who you think might win it then. I mean, Alcaraz at plus 110 is extremely short price, and for us at the prices, we think he's a fade. But if you were going to go for a strategy, would you look for someone in the top half to oppose Alcaraz with a big price that could probably half in price if Alcaraz gets beat? Or do you think the strategy is to go for someone in the bottom half and hopefully get a finalist, and Alcaraz does the three, we've got a chance with a finalist and pick up the each way money? What's the thinking of the play to play the winner tournament?
The latter of the two strategies that you've just suggested. I think you can't back against de Minaur at the moment. I mean, this is a very lopsided draw for me. I mean, the players that I just mentioned that could beat Alcaraz, they're all quality grass court players. And in the bottom half of the draw, aside from de Minaur, you've got an out-of-form Shelton, who's very inexperienced on grass anyway. Just looking at this, I had to print it out in a strange way because the ATP didn't download the draw properly, so I've had to print this in an unusual way. So you've got Shelton, which is, as I just said, out of form, no experience on grass. Nobody else in that third quarter that should worry de Minaur in the form that he's in. And then Holger, Rune, Raonic, Fritz. I mean, out of them, you would potentially say maybe Fritz on his best form, but he had a poor grass swing last year, Taylor Fritz, and he looked injured in the latter stages of his French Open match against Casper Ruud. So, and I would fancy de Minaur to beat him anyway, to be perfectly honest, on current form. So, I think this is a great draw for Alex de Minaur. It's not normally the sort of price I would go for. I've got a bigger price selection in Halle, but I think the each way money here, I think it's a very good bet. Unless de Minaur's picked up some sort of injury, which I didn't see any evidence of that when I watched him beat Calder an hour or so ago. I think it's de Minaur has got an excellent chance of making another final. It may well be the same final as last year, but I'm not convinced Alcaraz will get there, and I'm more convinced that de Minaur will get there.
Yeah, Alcaraz will look at de Minaur. I'm looking at the head-to-head between him and Fritz. It's 5-3 in favour of de Minaur, so that will probably be his most difficult opponent if he got through to the semi-final in Taylor Fritz. And he does hold a career head-to-head record against him. He's playing in much better form, and he's won the last two meetings between these two players. Yeah. I mentioned de Minaur last week about Wimbledon, and it was 50 to 1 or 55 to 1, I think he was. And I actually bet him last week at 55 to 1.
If you get a good draw, he's got a pretty decent chance of going deep.
Yeah, and he's now halved in price in a week. He's now down to 25 to 1 with Bet Rivers. Carlos Alcaraz is plus 170 for Wimbledon. A fortnight away, we'll have you covered here on the Betting Weekly studios. Jannik Sinner is plus 170 as well, so joint favourites. No Djokovic. Medvedev 13, Zverev 13, Taylor Fritz 20, Berrettini 25, and de Minaur 25 alongside Gregor Dimitrov. I think if you took the top two out, Alcaraz and Sinner, I think de Minaur is the best player at the moment on current form and probably got the best grass form stats. So I think he should be third favourite for Wimbledon.
Yeah, I mean, 25 to 1. It's a bit short for me. What did we have him at the other year? 200s? 150, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a certain Novak Djokovic in top form. There wasn't the dominance of Alcaraz and Sinner. The market's pretty much changed now. So yeah, I think he's the best. I think he's the best of the next bunch. I think he's the best of the next level on grass.
Is this what's on my screen now? The prices for Wimbledon, or is this?
No. That's still the tournament we have. So
yeah, okay.
I was just reading them out. I just sort of
I haven't seen the odds. Yeah, I haven't seen the odds, but I mean, you would have to put de Minaur in any conversation about Wimbledon for sure. I'm not so sure he's going to win it. I mean, it does look like he's going to have to beat one of Alcaraz or Sinner. I'm not sure I can see that over the best of five in a major. But if he gets lucky with the draw, then I agree with you in the sense that he's in that little tier just below the likes of Alcaraz and Sinner for an opportunity, yeah.
There's a whole host of matches on the first round available. Like I said, they start 4 a.m. Eastern time. So a nice early start there for these games. Actually, it might be a little bit later in London. I think they're 5 a.m. It's 4 a.m.
I think it's a 12 p.m. start, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 11 on the outside court's 11. So
okay. I better get there for 11 then.
Yeah, so you might just make sure you get there nice and early to place your bets. I think 5 a.m. is a good time to wake up, set your alarm. We'll do it this evening when this drops. Obviously, you can still have a lie in. But we have 2 matches we are going to discuss for tomorrow. But there's some great matches involved. Musetti de Minaur is the first round match. We're not quite sure when that's going to play. We have Raonic, Norrie. Raonic is obviously the veteran. Norrie obviously in terrible form. Some big matches. Korda Kachanov is a really interesting game. Dimitrov against Mannarino. And these are just first round matches. Alcaraz against Cinderul. As Sean said, there could be a difficult one. But the 2 matches we're going to highlight here to speak about is the first one we're going to speak is Holger Rune against Jordan Thompson. Holger Rune is quite a heavy favourite here, minus 278. Jordan Thompson's plus 210. The spread is 3.5. Holger Rune minus 3.5 is plus 106. Thompson receiving the 3.5 is the favourite at minus 139. The total is 22.5 with over minus 125 with under minus 105. These pair have never met before. Rune is the 7th seed. Thompson is probably a little bit more established over the years on grass. Well, he is more established over the years on grass, but he's in a terrible run of form. He hasn't won in 5, got beat by Raonic in Hurkacz. But since the prices have come out, there has been a little bit of support for the Aussie here, Thompson, and plus 310 is currently, I think it is the best price in the marketplace. So there is money for Thompson. The Aussie has seen some support. What do you think about this one, Sean?
I think there's no real basis for Rune being as short as he is. I thought Rune would be much bigger than this on grass against someone like Jordan Thompson who loves this surface. You know, if moving to grass from clay is not that easy for anybody. It's not that even harder for people that aren't really into it, like Rune hasn't been in the past. I mean, last year, I remember the opening round he played here last year, his opening match on grass of the season, he managed to edge it 7-6, 7-6 against Cressy.
He also got beat by Ryan Pedersen here.
That was the year before. I was coming on to that. Yeah, 2022. He lost to Carreno Busta, Peniston, as you said, and Marcos Giron. So I'm not sold on Rune at all here. If you look at the all-time main level grass stats, Rune's aren't particularly in depth because he doesn't play that many matches, but he's got a service points won and return points won total of 100 on this surface, which is exactly the same as Jordan Thompson's career mark on this surface. So you've got 2 guys whose long-term form, certainly longer term for Thompson, is identical in terms of the numbers. If you then go to the shorter-term form, last 12 months, what they did on grass last year, basically, last summer, it's Thompson that actually has a slight edge. Service points won and return points won total of 103, Rune 102. So there's nothing really in the numbers that makes me think that Rune should be minus 278 to win this match. Bearing in mind Thompson will have been practicing at Rosmalen or wherever he practices for quite some time after his first round exit at the French Open. He'd have gone straight to the grass without any problem at all. So he was a little bit unlucky last week to get drawn against Raonic. Raonic played absolutely lights out. No one would have beaten, very few people would have beaten Raonic that day. Thompson couldn't really do a thing about it. He'll have been annoyed at that draw. He'll look at this one and think, I could have had a better draw again, but I think he could have had a worse one as well. I don't think this is that difficult for Thompson. It's a tough match, obviously, but I wouldn't say this was. I'd rather play Rune first up than Milos Raonic on early season grass, that's for sure. I'm going to take Thompson to win the opening set here. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for Holger Rune to find his grass feet, so to speak. So plus 163 it was with BetRivers when I looked earlier on. Jordan Thompson to win the opening set.
Yep, plus 163, Jordan Thompson to win the opening set. Make sure you head across there early because these prices will go, I believe. I think Thompson will be bet. Plus 210 is the best price in the marketplace. 29 different markets available on the match. And I'm going to get it 3rd time lucky. The match starts at 7 a.m. So you're right, actually, Sean. It says here on my screen 11 o'clock. I think you're right. 12 o'clock is the right time.
Okay.
BetRivers have 7 a.m. Eastern time. So sorry if I've said 4 o'clock in the morning. It's actually 7. You can do a little bit of a lie-in, so I apologise for that. And let's move on to the next match. It's a more established player. People will obviously know a man here, probably not too familiar with another one. It's Thomas Martin Etcheverry. Etcheverry, the Argentinian, is a clay court specialist. His record on grass is pretty poor, and he's up against Billy Harris, a young British guy. Minus 148 is the price for Etcheverry. Billy Harris is plus 116. It's minus plus 1.5 on the game spread. It's minus 114, both of them. And the total total games a little bit higher than the Rune Thompson match is 23.5 here, with over minus 105 and under minus 125. Etcheverry has only ever won 2 grass court matches in his entire career. He's only ever played 7 matches, but he's only won 2. And Billy Harris, even though it's at a lower level, he's done well in recent weeks at challenger events. He got to the semi-finals in the challenger at Surbiton, where he got beat by his namesake, well, one of his Lloyd Harris. And he got to the semi-finals in Nottingham last week, where he got beat as well in the semi-finals. But
that was today, actually. He played that match. Yeah.
Oh, he's obviously somebody who's much more familiar with the surface. British players do quite well at these tournaments, especially in the early rounds. They produce big shocks. We mentioned there that Ryan Pedersen beat Rune, and the other people have done it.
He beat Hubert, didn't he? When we had Hubert, didn't we?
You know, there is a capability to these British guys. It's a big money tournament for them. It's the first time in the main draw, and they usually do quite well. So Billy Harris here at plus 116 may be of interest, even though he's a much lower ranked player than his opponent, down in, I think he's 181 in the world currently.
Yeah, he's of interest to me for sure. I saw Etcheverry last year on grass. He was dreadful. This is a winnable match for Harris. I'm not at all surprised that he lost in the semi-finals in Nottingham today, because he hasn't really got time to play the final, because he's got to play the first round at Queen's Club. And what are you going to do? Play a final at Nottingham Challenger, or go to Queen's Club and play a prestigious match at a storied tournament? Not surprising that he lost that at all. So this looks a winnable match for me, for Harris. As you said, he's been playing well at challenger level, generally, not just on grass. It'd be interesting to see what he can do when he steps up. He should be much more comfortable on this surface than Etcheverry. In his career, at all levels on grass, he's got a 65% win rate, Harris. As you said, the semi-final in Surbiton, semi-final in Nottingham in the last few weeks. At challenger level on grass, he's 6-3 win-loss, and a service points won and return points won of 102. So very decent level on this surface at challenger level. Look at Etcheverry on grass. At all levels, he's played 7 matches, won 2, lost 5, and his service points won and return points won total is 95. That includes qualies and stuff. If we take that to main level, he's played 4 main level matches, i.e. on the ATP Tour and Wimbledon, as it would be. He's 1-3 win-loss there, and a service points won and return points won total of 93. So, and he wins just 31% of his return points on grass. So Harris has got some decent weapons. He can be powerful on serve, forehand. He's a big guy. He can put the ball through the court in these conditions, no problem. Etcheverry, as I said, he didn't look like he had the faintest clue about what to do on it last year. His only win was in 5 sets against Zapata Morales at Wimbledon on this surface. So I think that pretty much tells you all, along with the stats that I've just given you, I think that pretty much tells you all you need to know. So I don't know about Harris, whether he'll go on to win the match, but I think he's got a great advantage in the opening set over someone like Etcheverry, who doesn't seem keen on this surface. So plus money, plus 108 it was with Bet Rivers, Harris to win the opening set, and that's what I'm going to go with there.
Yep, plus 108 is still available, along with all the other different markets. So Billy Harris, I think he's got a good chance here to win the match. I think plus 116. I think Etcheverry's a big fade. I think it's a big moment for him, and he's going to take the opportunity to do well. So I like Harris to actually win on the money line at plus 116. You want to get with the Brit in many different markets, and there's so many different ways to get with Harris here. On the Bet Rivers website, head across there, and you'll see all the latest odds. And that match is a 7 a.m. start. The order of play is not out yet, but 7 a.m. Eastern time is when the action starts in London. Now we're moving across to Germany, where there's lots of things going on at the moment in the world of sport. Euro 2024 has kicked off in Germany, and there's a tennis tournament this week over in Halle. It used to be called the tournament, the Roger Federer Open, didn't it? Roger Federer used to win this tournament pretty much every time he went in it. Again, another star-studded lineup, some really, really interesting first-round matches, some good players in action. Give us the stats and what the trends of the action here in Halle.
Yeah, so the conditions, it's not the same as Queen's in the sense that it hasn't appeared to have become slower in recent years. It averages 84% holds, 74.7% first serve points won. That's not as quick as Stuttgart, but it is quicker than what Queen's is now. 49% tie-break matches, over 22.5 games, 50%. No advantage there in the last 5 editions. Slightly quicker in terms of over 10.5 in set 1. 34% in the last 5 editions compared to 30% for Queens. So you'd be looking at a price of about 2.94 plus 194 for over 10.5 games in set 1. Unders really should be, under 10.5 should be about 1.52 minus 194. Underdog winners is the same, 31%. But strangely, the best rounds are the semi-finals and the final, rather than the opening rounds. As far as the weather's concerned this week, it does look a bit unsettled, but warm between 23 and 26, with some rain and some thunderstorms expected, but it does have a roof. Unlike Queens, this has got a roof on the centre court, so there'll be play kind of whatever happens. As far as the trends are concerned, you said it, Federer contested the final here 13 times, but he's still the last number 1 seed to win in Halle. There's been plenty of big price winners here. Bublik 40-1 last year, Humbert 33-1 a couple of years ago, 2021, sorry. Borna Coric won it at 50-1, beat Federer in the final, 2018, and Florian Mayer, if you remember him, very unusual style of play. He had 66-1 in 2016. So there we are. Quite a few big price winners.
Yeah, 4 Germans have won it as well since 2009. Roger Federer's won it massive 10 times. Bublik won it last year. Hurkacz won it in 2022 and Guembert in 21. And Coric obviously beat Federer in 2018. Federer won it in 2019. The latest edition, let's look at the draw. Jannik Sinner is the number 1 seed. Interesting to see these two, how they sort of go this week, Sinner and Alcaraz. It's toe-to-toe who's the favourite to Wimbledon. And we would like to see which one's going to progress further, so actually give it the most effort in the next couple of weeks. Sinner is the number 1 seed here. If he wins his quarter, if he wins his matches, he will play Tsitsipas in the quarter. Number 1. Medvedev is in Q2 with defending champion Bublik. Then we have Hurkacz and Rublev. Then we have Auger-Aliassime, and we have Zverev. Zverev's obviously in some great form, but not really a grass court player, but he's going to have some home support here, the man in form. If you look at some dangerous opponents, Sinner starts off against Tallon Griekspoor, a very tough match for him there. John-Leonard Struff, if he's fit, will play Tsitsipas in round 2, so dangerous players there. In Q2, Christopher Eubanks. In Q3, we don't really have Berrettini, 2-time champion at Queen's Club, opting to play here. He's in there, he'll probably play Rublev in round 2. And in the bottom section, Sonego, Kekmanovic, and really not many glass quarters in that bottom of the section there. Here are the odds. The odds available with Bet Rivers are currently there. Jannik Sinner a little bit bigger than the plus 110 that you can get on Alcaraz. He's plus 138. Alexander Zverev is $5 to give the locals some success. Medvedev is 5, Rublev is 9, Hurkacz is 10, Berrettini 10, Struff 14, Tsitsipas 14, Bublik 18. Then we go to big prices, 40-1 Felix, Auger-Aliassime, and a couple of other players there ranging from 50 to 66-1. The draw here, Sean, it's quite. There's not many players here that you would be comfortable about taking on grass, is there? That's my first things I would like to look at. I think, well, how many people would you take on grass? There's not many.
It's a tricky draw, isn't it? There's a lot of quality here. You know, there's 6 players in the top 11 in the world in this, but would you trust them to win a grass court tournament? First up, coming from clay, Tsitsipas, no. Sinner, well, I'll come on to him in a minute, not really. Bublik was injured. He's the defending champion. He was injured last week in Stuttgart. Had to retire, didn't he, against Musetti? Not sure what's wrong with him. Hurkacz, I'll come on to in a minute. Not he has won this before, but certainly vulnerable early. Zverev, quick, slick, low bouncing grass. Not for me, for Zverev, who's coming from a French Open final. A disappointment of that as well. So Rublev's a possibility. He's done well here before, but doesn't really appeal at the price. I've got one in slightly double figures and one that's not even on your screen. His price is that big.
I think I know who your one on the screen would be. I think you like Hurkacz here at 10-1.
Nope.
Really? Surprised by that?
Oh, nope. He might win it, but not for me. First up on grass.
Who are you going for? Who are you going?
Top half, Struff, I'm going for. 14-1. I think he's got an excellent chance. He was very unlucky last week. Started great in Stuttgart, then got sick. Some sort of virus, or I don't know what it was, but he pulled out of his quarter-final match. I think it was against Nakashima, wasn't it? Just looking at his draw here, he should be beating Darderi all day long on this surface. Sinner is an obvious issue, but he's got a very tough draw. Griekspoor first up, who's had a a strong week on grass already. We'll come on to him in a minute. Safilin, who made the quarterfinals of Wimbledon last year on the grass, in fact, he lost to Sinner. But that was 1 set all after 2 sets, that match, and that was much slower conditions, and obviously Sinner had a longer time to prepare. Tsitsipas on grass, not for me at all. Bublik, as I've said, is not fit. Medvedev, I'm not convinced is fit either. Struff will be highly motivated. He'll be disappointed that he didn't get the chance to carry on his run in Stuttgart. Obviously, German, he'll be highly motivated. He's got all the tools to win this tournament. I think he's a decent each way better, 14-1 in the top half. As I say, I've got another one in the bottom half as well.
Would you say that Struff's probably one of the most improved players on the tour this year?
I think it's to do with his mentality. He's had a lot of injury problems, but even before then, you always felt when he was about to serve out a match or a set, you always felt, despite his huge weaponry, that mentally he just wouldn't be able to do it. The amount of times he failed to do it going back a couple of years was incredible. Now, he seems not exactly fearless, but more fearless, if you want to call it that. He seems to go for it a lot more, doesn't let sort of fate have the chance to rob him. He puts his own fate in his own hands, goes for it big. I think he's just being more aggressive, bit more self-belief. I don't know if he's been working with somebody on that side of things, but and I think he always had the weapons. He just didn't have the sort of mental toughness to go with it. He's got that a little bit more now. Still, obviously not top class, but he's certainly got the class to win this sort of tournament.
And he's won a tournament, so he's got confidence behind him as well.
In Germany as well, of course, which can't have been easy for him.
So he's got that confidence behind him. He's a dangerous opponent when he gets that serve going. Done well on grass before. I think he got 2 sets to love up against Sinner a couple of years ago at Wimbledon. I think he was
Alcaraz, wasn't it? I think.
Alcaraz.
Yeah, it's Alcaraz.
He was. He's got the game. If he plays well, his confidence going, then big serves, the big forehand goes in, and Struff is a dangerous opponent on this surface. And one player that's not even on the list. So very interested.
Not
to
on
hear
the
this
list.
one is. Not on the list. Who we got here? Another German.
Yeah,
I'm going to go. I'm going to go for. You're going to go for Dominik Koepfer.
No.
Okay. I just threw one out there randomly.
No, I think this is a guy that's not played that much on grass. He has played a little bit, played pretty well as well, actually, last year in a much lower level. But Thomas Mahac, for me, has got the perfect game for grass. Absolutely perfect. I'm amazed that he's this price, really. He's 66-1. He'd probably be just off the end of the page that we've got on the screen there. But the way that he plays, very flat, aggressive, doesn't mind coming into the net, loves the quick surfaces. Obviously beat Novak Djokovic. You were there, weren't you? Beat Novak Djokovic on what is very quick clay in Geneva. It's much quicker there at altitude than your normal clay event. Beat Novak Djokovic it was the quarterfinals, wasn't it? Quarters or semis?
Yeah, I was on the plane coming back. I was asking you at the plane what the score was.
Oh, yeah, you were, weren't you?
Yeah.
So Djokovic, I remember now. So Djokovic had already played a couple of matches. It wasn't like he was coming in cold. Mahac beat him, all ends up in quick conditions. I'm really interested to see what he can do in this tournament. Knowing my luck now, I'll probably lose to Fils in the first round, but he's got everything you want for a grass court player. I'm not wild about them short shorts that he seems to be intent on wearing. That's a slight negative, but the rest of it, I think he's got a perfect game for this surface. So I'm not convinced about Zverev, who's in his quarter, as I said. Kekmanovic and Sonego, they don't really inspire, do they? Fils doesn't really inspire me on grass either yet. He looks very inexperienced on the surface. He should be beating Fils. Then he'll have either Felix or Koepfer. I'm not convinced about Felix in that match either. So I would certainly fancy Mahac to beat Koepfer if it was Koepfer. So I think he's got a reasonable chance of getting deep here and showing people what he can do at a big price.
And if you're looking for some match bets, Fils against Mahac, probably, if you look at the odds, probably both of them are around about 66-1. I'm guessing that probably around about a pick and match.
If you can get evens-ish or just a slight 10-11 or something like that, then I would fancy that. Yeah, I mean, I prefer taking a punt on him to win because that price is, I think, it's 66-1. He's 66-1, and you've got here Kekmanovic and Sonego at the same price. I would go with Mahac all day long. I just think the surface will suit him. I may be wrong. I've been wrong before.
But you're taking a big price on a 66-1 shot. You're not betting a plus 138 one and being wrong. You're taking a little bit of chance. You've reasoned it. You're staking it accordingly. And Mahac's value at 66-1. It's a section that
he fits the bill.
Felix Auger-Aliassime is questionable, isn't he, in that quarter? And then obviously you've got to take. You can be underdog against Zverev, but Zverev coming here cold after the French Open
if
final.
Zverev gets there,
there's reasons to doubt about Zverev. And Mahak does make appeal at 66-1. So we've got one price there, a lowish price, 14-1 for Jan-Lennard Strupp, and then we've got 66-1 for Thomas Mahak. We mentioned this match in passing throughout when we did the preview there, but it was the match between Jannik Sinner and Tallon Griekspoor. And this looks a difficult clash for me. I mean, I don't think that Jannik Sinner would have chosen Tallon Griekspoor to win it, but he does have a very commanding head-to-head lead.
On the stats he might have done.
Yeah, 4 times they've met. He leads 4-0, the world number one. Twice this year. Once in Miami, where he won in first 2 sets were very tight. It was one set all 5-7, 7-5, then Sinner won 6-1. He also won in Rotterdam 6-2, 6-4 in a semi-final. But Griekspoor is a decent player on grass. Got to the semi-final of Hurkacz and Bosch, got beat by Korda. It was brilliant. I watched that match the other day. Korda was absolutely brilliant. He got beat by Zverev at the French Open, and he got beat by Djokovic in the quarterfinals at Geneva. So his last 3 tournaments, he's only lost to decent players, and he's gone quite far in those tournaments as well. So he's improving, and I think he might give Sinner some kinds of trouble, but whether he win it, I'm not quite sure. Sinner is minus 9.10. Tallon Griekspoor is $6. The spread here is 4.5, plus 120 for Sinner, minus 155 Griekspoor, and the total 31.5 with over minus 137. It does look like this could be a first set that could be quite edgy, and then I'll probably expect Sinner to show his class as the match went on. But Griekspoor will give him some problems for sure.
Yeah, the first match on grass, it's not easy for anyone. Griekspoor's attuned to it already from Rosmalen. Guys like Sinner and Alcaraz, as McEnroe said, as you mentioned earlier, they will be seeing this as a way to get back into the grass. They'd like to win off the title, obviously, but I don't think they'll be that bothered if they don't. Sinner's all-time record on grass at ATP Tour level only, not Wimbledon. 3-5 win-loss, and the service points won and return points won a total of 101. 85% holds of serve. Griekspoor, 14-6 win-loss, and a service points won and return points won total of 100, 89% holds. So I like Griekspoor here to do something. The head-to-head is massively in favour of Sinner, 115-85. Not sure Griekspoor's totally fit, but set one between these two has usually been close. It should be again here in Sinner's first match back on grass. So if you're betting in this, over 10.5 games, plus 165 at Bet Rivers in the first set.
That does sound a nice bet. I think this will be very, very tight. I wouldn't rule out a tie-break in this first set. I think it's that kind of match. And then I would expect Sinner to probably come through. Griekspoor to make some errors and Sinner to grind him down and win a little bit more easy. That head-to-head is
overwhelming. Yeah. I mean, 98% holds a serve, Sinner against Griekspoor. It is overwhelming. But those were all on hard courts. Sinner, as I've said, hasn't shown his best yet at ATP Tour level on grass, which means that he's kind of peaked what is for him at the right time, getting to Wimbledon. He hasn't peaked, straight away as you would expect. So, Griekspoor should be looking like this, should be looking at this match like it's a big opportunity to do something at least. Yep,
the odds are available on the BetRivers website now. 29 different markets available on that match. We've also got the odds there for the match between Feeks and Mahak. Minus 120 favourite Mahak, minus 104 Feeks. Probably not the price we wanted, so we want to stick with that 66-1 about Mahak to win the tournament. Hopefully he gets through that match. The second game we're going to talk about tomorrow is the game between Felix Auger-Aliassime. I mentioned him that being a vulnerable seed. He's the 8th seed in this tournament. I'm not really convinced by him on this surface. He plays Dominik Koepfer. Minus $4 is the price for Felix Auger-Aliassime, plus 275 for Koepfer. There is no other markets available on that match just yet. They will be going up as the day progresses, but obviously this is very early. We're recording this American time, English lunchtime, so they'll be up during the day. Felix Auger-Aliassime hasn't played a match on grass this year, and Koepfer has obviously played 2. That crazy match that we bet Zhang in Stuttgart, then he went and got beat by Masetti in round 2, where Zhang had 3 match points, I think it wasn't, and couldn't take any of them.
2, yeah.
So the head-to-head is interesting because Koepfer's won their previous meeting. It was in 2021. It was on the Paris Masters indoors. It was 6-3, 7-5. But I'm not really convinced by Felix, and I'm not quite he's convinced. The market quite likes him, but I want to get. Hopefully, you want to get with Koepfer in some way, but I'm not quite sure the angle. So hopefully, you've got the angle for me.
I've got the angle. I just haven't got any odds, which is slightly annoying. I want to get with the overs here, or one of the side markets. I mean, we've only got the money line at the minute, but this looks a very tricky opening match on grass for Felix. He's only played one match on this surface since 2022, and he lost it to Michael Moe at Wimbledon last year. I'm really keen on Felix against lefties anyway, and he's facing an opponent here who, as you said, beat him in their only career meeting as a plus 353 chance, 4.53 he was. And Koepfer's obviously had these two very long matches on grass already, Massetti and Zhang. Almost forgot then.
Don't forget that one.
Yeah, I'm not going to forget that one in a long time. Just looking back on that match when these two played against each other in Paris 2021, 30% more second serve points Koepfer won that day than Felix. And the tactic is clear for Koepfer, as long as he can stick to it. Push Felix out wide when he's on serve. Push Felix out wide onto Felix's backhand, which is obviously the far weaker wing of the Canadian, and then take his own forehand down the line. It sounds simple. It can be simple if you do it properly. It's difficult to keep doing it over and over again, but that's the tactic that Koepfer will surely go for here. We know Felix is weak on that backhand side. This is his opening match on grass. It's difficult for anybody. If Felix is going to win this, he's got to play a really clean match because Koepfer makes a lot of balls. He makes you play one more ball all the time, which is certainly something that Felix has been vulnerable to in the past, the longer rallies. And Koepfer's got a good record against big servers. I mean, Felix isn't a huge server, but he's pretty big. And Koepfer's got a good eye. He gets a lot of big servers deliveries back into play. He's beating the likes of Isner and Koepfer. Apelka. What happened to him? Riley Apelka.
Oh. Didn't he have some kind of drug issue?
He had a lot of injuries.
Or something. Did he have a dope test?
Did he? I don't think so. Yeah, I know.
Sorry if I have, but I thought. I'm sorry if he's watching this. I'm not trying to cast aspersions on you.
I thought he was injured, but maybe I've missed something. But he hasn't played for ages. But Koepfer always did well against him as well. So it just feels like a really difficult match for Felix. I wanted to bet the overs, but we haven't really got the odds. But look at that when it does come up. Over games, I feel like it's going to be, or even over sets. I feel like these two are both quite slow starters, so I wouldn't be surprised if this went deep.
Yeah, I know. I thought he was quite vocal about drug testing. I don't know if he failed one or he was complaining about someone else. But yeah, he was. I bet him once to win Wimbledon. I saw him at Queen's Club and he was about 6'10". I thought he was going to win Wimbledon. I think he got beat by someone like Goffin or something like that. He played someone who was like 5'5", and I thought he's got no chance. And he beat him. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, he was a player that was. I remember some guy said to me he was going to be world number one, and he proclaimed to be one of the best tennis judges in the world. And I haven't heard from him for about 5 years. Anyway, that was Riley Apelka, and that's it really.
I think he's been injured.
Injured. I apologise to Apelka if he found a drug test. Do you know what's confused me on the doping issue? Your pot plant you're getting. That pot plant.
That was you that started all that.
Yeah, but that's given me all. I think everyone's on with the pot plants. It's got me confused.
We've got one more match, haven't we?
Have we got one more match? Oh yes, we have.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm afraid. Do you know what it is? I haven't got them written down. And Graphic Man John didn't turn it up. He had two matches. So it's
up there. Hurkacz.
It wasn't there a minute ago. It was only two. He had two on the screen, and I thought that was it. Anyway, okay. Graphic Man John, apologise. Hubert Hurkacz minus 715. Hubert Hurkacz against Flavio Cobolli. It's $5, 4.5 here is the spread. Hurkacz plus 108. Cobolli minus 139. Total is 22.5. Many people will just look at this match and put down Hurkacz as in their parlays because his grass court form is solid. He's done well at Wimbledon.
Might not in a minute.
And Cobolli would be someone that everyone thinks is a clay court through and through. He's never won a match on grass. He's had no wins in his 3 previous matches. He's on the up. But I'm thinking you're going to go for the Italian in some capacity. I'm interested to find out why here because most people would look at Hurkacz at minus 715 and think, well, that's definitely in the parlay.
Well, he'll probably win, but I highly doubt it'll be as easy as those odds suggest. I mean, Hurkacz often struggles in his opening match of the year on grass because the ball bounces very low, skids through. He prefers it to come up quite a bit higher. It's not easy or ideal for him, the early conditions. Once he masters them, that's a different matter. But straight off the bat, he's shown, his record shows, I'm about to tell you it, that he does struggle first up. Last year, and I was there, he was in Stuttgart and he just about beat Watanuki in a final set tiebreak. Real struggle. That's as good as it's got for him. 2022, he lost his first match to Martin Fucsovics. 2021, he lost his first match to Stricker, Dominik Stefan Stricker. Didn't play in 2020. 2019, he lost his first match to João Sousa. And 2018, lost his opening match to Kamil Majchrzak, who he did have a doping ban. He's just come back from one, I think. So if you look at that record, that is not impressive. Take away the name of Hurkacz and just stick someone else's name in here and show them those statistics, those details. You wouldn't fancy him at all. Because it's Hurkacz, he's minus 715. As you said, Cobolli's very inexperienced on grass, but he played really well last week. He won 86% on first serve in a 7-6, 6-3 loss to an informed Struff in Stuttgart. And that match will obviously have helped him get attuned to these conditions. He only faced one break point in that match, did Cobolli. And as I said, he won pretty much all of a very high percentage of his first serve points won. All this, to me, leads towards overs. I expect Hurkacz will probably grind it out in the end, but I can't imagine it'll be as quick as the layers are suggesting. So over 22.5 games, I believe that was even money with Bet Rivers when I looked earlier. That to me is decent.
You never really get a Hurkacz match that's 22.5 games, do you? It's very rare you see.
Not often. They're just assuming Cobolli's just going to roll over because he's a clay courter, but he didn't against Struff by any means. Only faced one break point, as I said. So given Hurkacz's struggles, regular struggles every year in his opening match, it might offer a bit of value, I think.
What about the first set tiebreak? I mean, the amount of tiebreaks he plays is unbelievable. That's 2.35.
That's highly likely as well.
Yeah,
what is it, sorry?
Plus 235 over 12.5. Plus 163 over 10.5.
Yeah, you want a bit bigger than that generally in Halle. I think I said 2.94 would be the average. But bearing in mind this is Hurkacz, I wouldn't put anybody off that. It does seem like tie breaks, at least one, are pretty inevitable here.
Yep. Hurkacz, we believe, will come through, but nowhere near as comfortably as those odds of minus 715. With Bet Rivers are suggesting Sean is about 2 units up front for the year now after a pretty poor start to the week last week. But this is a new week, plus 2.76, and I'm sure heading into Wimbledon we will be getting that up to double figures very, very quickly. Remember, Wimbledon is only 2 weeks away now, the third major of the year, and everything will be covered here. If you like your football, your soccer, and you like your tennis, this is the place. This is the home for soccer and tennis betting here on Betting Weekly Studios. Remember to subscribe to Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a comment. Any comments you want, anything you want to ask the questions for, we're all happy to ask. Any suggestions on the show, please leave a comment in the comments box. I'll be able to answer anything you want there. Make sure you make sure you follow our socials at Because We Win on Instagram and on Twitter, which is X. We've got some great content on there. And also download this podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, on your preferred podcast provider. Not only the tennis, it's a huge week of soccer action. The Euro 2024 continues with loads of great shows, great views on the shows as well. And we'll be having you covered with exclusive content on the Instagram account, on the tennis, and on the soccer next week for Euro 2024. Sean will be at Queen's Club in London on Monday and Tuesday. Is that right, Sean? Tuesday?
Monday and Wednesday.
Monday and Wednesday. And I'll be there Thursday. So we'll have you courtside, give you some information, give you some picks. Matches we may not have previewed on the show. And myself and Sean will be back on Tuesday looking at Wednesday's matches. And then we'll hopefully touch base on Wednesday. But being that Sean's at the tennis and I'm out at a Deacon Blue concert, we may have to struggle on Wednesday.
Is that one you mentioned last week?
Yes.
Were you going again?
No, it's this Wednesday. It's this
okay.
Wednesday. It's this Wednesday. I mentioned it last week, but it's actually this Wednesday coming up. So might struggle to do a podcast on Wednesday, but we might come back on Thursday and do an extra one next week. But anyway, whatever we've got, we'll have you covered on the socials, and you won't miss a bet here on the Betting Weekly Studios. Okay, Sean, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Father's Day. I'm sure Lake's going to come back with a nice big cake. A couple of Bulmers for you, or Magners. You're going to sit yourself down.
He has brought me some chocolate, actually.
Yeah, and you're going to sit down and you're going to watch England win 3-0 tonight.
You think so? No. I'm not sure any of those things are going to happen, but we'll see.
Well, hopefully. Anyway, that's it. That's been Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and we will be back again on Tuesday with all the best tennis betting action in London and in Halle. Take care.